2006 as manager of marketing partnerships, and he quickly rose through the ranks to be promoted to his current position as CEO. In 2014, he orchestrated a collaboration between the NKBA and the National Association of Home Builders, NAHB, to create Design and Construction Week, and the co-location of KBIS and NAHB's International Builders Show, IBS. Prior to joining NKBA, Darcy spent 7 years with Penske Motorsports and NASCAR, where he oversaw more than 50 multi-venue sponsors with contracts totaling more than $200 million. In his keynote presentation, The New Normal for Kitchen and Bath, Darcy will discuss shifts in consumers' buying habits and how they will dramatically impact the kitchen and bath industry and your business over the next several years. Welcome, Bill.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone. I look forward to speaking with you today. I appreciate your time as we talk about, I'm already jumping ahead. As we talk about the new normal, you heard from Grant and from Dan, and there's similar thread here. We'll go a little deeper in a couple different topics, as far as that goes. But before that, I'd like to just introduce myself a little bit more. As you heard, I spent a little bit of time with NASCAR in Daytona Beach and working for the Penske organization. So I got my career started in a much different place. I had a lot of fun and enjoyment doing that for about 7 years. And then I've been with NKBA for 15 years. Actually, November 6th is my anniversary, 15 years. And I've been the CEO for 10 years. List a little bit about me personally as well. I have a husband who's actually celebrating his 16th wedding anniversary today with all of you, not with my wife at home, but I'll have to make up for that during this weekend. I'm also a dad of 3 boys, big sports fans and camping fans, and we do a lot of family stuff together. So big family guy, and I really love spending time with my family. I also picked up cycling during COVID. I used to go to the gym a lot, and of course, all those shifts that happened. I don't know if any of you picked up any hobbies or things that you did over COVID that you continued, but cycling was one that I never appreciated as much, and it really is an enjoyable hobby for me now. So, who is NKBA? Some of you may know NKBA, some of you may not, so I'll give you a little bit of a story about NKBA. We're a 60-year-old organization, nearly 60-year-old organization, representing really all facets of kitchen and bath. So uniquely in a trade association space where many organizations are vertical within one channel, we, although represent multiple channels within anything that produces a kitchen or a bath. So more like room-based, so whether it's manufacturers, designers, remodelers, contractors, distribution, retail, all that from Home Depot and Kohler all the way down to the small independent designer working out of their home. We represent really the entire industry. We also own the Kitchen and Bath Industry Show, as you heard. So biggest show in North America for kitchens and baths. We're going to be in Orlando in February, back to a live again. I'm very excited that you all are participating in your live event today, and I'm sure you're equally excited to be here engaging with colleagues and friends and customers and seeing new products in a live environment. So we're really excited to see what's happening across the board in trade shows in Las Vegas, and we'll be in Orlando in 22, and then we'll be back here in Las Vegas in 2023. The 3 topics I want to dig into today are skilled labor and the workforce development. I know, actually Grant touched on it a little bit. I'm going to go a lot deeper there with that. The consumer shifting expectations was talked about also a little bit this morning, and more specifically K&B. And then this constantly evolving expectation for your business. What does it take to continue to stay on the forefront in your area of the business? So let's start with the shrinking workforce. What is workforce development? I think everybody probably knows what workforce development is, but let's just define it very specifically as creating, training, and retaining a viable workforce. This shrinking market for all of you, as you're experiencing now, of course, you've been experiencing this for some time. The labor shortage is not a new topic, but supply chain is truly taking that lead position right now. But it does not, overshadow the challenges we all have in workforce development. Quick poll for all of you. Tell me, how hard is retaining and hiring staff right now for you? I saw in Grant's thing, is it still, the pressure it's a lot, So let's just talk about what's happening for everybody else here. You're not alone. 80% of companies looking for workers report it's somewhat or very difficult to find people. 80%, that's a big number. 49% equally say it's difficult to retain workforce. So again, not big surprises for you all, and in kitchen and bath, you think it's difficult in retail. Let me talk about kitchen and bath and what those pressures are for us. A couple positions in what we call professional trades, which means showroom sales and designer. Equally difficult to find these folks, but the carpenter, the plumber, and the electrician, are this big pain point. We know that the average age of a plumber and electrician in America is 57 years old. But this continues to get compounded, obviously, by the pressure we have to fill the jobs that we have going on right now. This is another point, and I'll move over here so you can see it a little better. Days vacant: electrician helper, plumber, apprentice, carpenter apprentice. These three core trades, about 30 days. That means the job has to wait until they find the person to fill that job, right? This is pretty dramatic. And at this rate, we will lose 41% of skilled professionals will age out or retire by 2030. 41%. So you think it's hard now. Okay, not gonna get easier. And so this is my shocking slide, like, wow. 41% in a market that you already feel the pressure. Because this is what young people think a plumber does. Ratty old truck showing up, fixing leaky toilets and faucets, right? We've created this dynamic for young people to not realize, now this is maybe not a great example, but this is the UK's wealthiest plumber, worth $100 million. Okay, not everybody's gonna be that successful, we know, but there are a lot of lucrative careers in the skilled trades that allow people to earn solid six-figure incomes, and in this booming market, a lot more than that. So Charlie Mullins, I think everybody aspires to be a Charlie Mullins, but this is just to prove the point. We talked about, actually Grant talked a little bit about this, consumer shifting. So consumers are pulling back a bit on the DIY side. We saw, obviously, I actually did an interview on Fox News right at the advent of COVID, probably April of last year. And it was the paint boom. You all saw it, in your stores if you have it. The consumers were trying to do whatever they could to make what they were staring at a little bit better. For a few dollars, they can go to get the paint and fix up their work from home office. But we are seeing now where contractors are being invited more back in the homes. So not that DIY is going away, but we're seeing in K&B this shift back to focus on the contractor. There are some people too, they're spending more money now than they were dining out. So maybe instead of buying that paint themselves, they're gonna ask somebody to paint for them. At the end of the day, especially these three core trades, electrician, plumber, carpenter, are the future for your business. These are your customers, of course, right? And I think we all need to take responsibility for this shrinking workforce. This is not something one organization is going to come in and create this changing perception to young people. So why do we, obviously why we care at NKBA, it's a big impact. At the end of the day, you can't produce a kitchen or a bath without these skills. So let's go into workforce development. Why is it so important? NKBA actually, not that long ago, had our head in the sand a bit on this, how much of an issue this was becoming. So where it started for us is I was talking to one of our board members, 2015, 2016, and he was a large cabinet manufacturer. And he said, Bill, you do not believe the rates we're paying right now for a finished carpenter. So while the polarizing side of carpenter, plumber, electrician, in carpentry, we think framing carpenter, but for us in K&B, we have that finished carpenter as well, the specialized carpenter. He said we were paying, I think, $20 an hour, and now all of a sudden we're paying $30 an hour. So this was this rising wage based on availability, just supply and demand of that finished carpenter. We also know, and if we have kids or we had kids in school, where the shop classes were a big part of America in introducing young people to the trades. So not that shop class is gone, but it's not what it was, right? So how are young people getting exposure to these trades that lead to interest, in careers? So we know about this. We did a lot of research, looked at where our members felt most concerned about certain positions, but felt like we needed a partner. We needed to find somebody who we could work with and introduce young people to the trades. So we found an organization that really took something that we all kind of know what it is, a job fair. Many of us, as we kind of grew up and went to job fairs, you walked up to a table, they had some papers there, a nice sign, nice people, you talked to the people, they told you about a job. It's really hard to explain what it's like to be a especially plumber, electrician, carpenter, even for us, showroom sales and design, by just looking at some papers and talking to people. So we identified this organization in Houston, Texas, who looked at job fairs differently. And I want to, I would say before I show you, I'm going to show you a short video which gives you a better representation of what they did for us. But if you think about a taxi and you think about Uber, right? So everybody, taxi gets you from A to Z. Here comes Uber, and you're like, this is just another version of a taxi, but talk about taking over our universe, right? So it's the same fundamental thing, job fair, but here's a way to look at it a little differently. How can we create something special, something interesting, something unique? As we started to do some research and came upon Bridgier, we were like, wow, I think that might be it. Our goal is to introduce our industry to 24,000 students in a 3-year period. Students will make their own decisions on where to go with their life and their decisions for their future. All we want to be is part of the conversation.
So once they do it, it's much easier for them to grasp the concept, and they know whether they like it or they don't like it.
I mean, we made them things light up, you know what I'm saying? Feel good, man. Want to be an electrician.
What I love about the Bridgier NKBA Career Tour is that we put students in the driver's seat. We allow students to go into their gym and see for themselves what careers they can explore. And so instead of telling them about what plumbers do or what designers do or what sales consultants do in a showroom, they get to actually try it on for themselves.
So we really loved what they did. And I was there for this first event we had in Houston, and these young people, they come into a gym and they're kids. They don't know what they're about to experience. And then they start really saying, wow, I get to pick which job I'd like to try out, and I get dressed up in whatever I'm wearing, and then I'm doing it. And so it really drives that inspiration for young people to say, well, this is what it's like, because maybe I don't know a person who does this job, and also that perception of what I might not realize they do. We also partnered and really with our fellow Design and Construction Week partners in the National Association of Home Builders and NARI, the National Association of the Remodeling Industry, we formed the Skilled Labor Fund. I'm on the operating committee for the Skilled Labor Fund, and what we do is really help fund programs at schools for young people. So the National Housing Endowment is the funding operation from the NHPA. So we together work with our constituents to help fundraise and also identify schools and approve funding for different programs, which is very, it's an additional part of our efforts to try to support the awareness of the trades. So I'll do another quick poll with you guys. How many of you engage with your local schools on trades programs? Do any of you engage with your local schools? Okay, so this is where I think, you come to an event here and you're looking at products. Our event too, you're here to see new products, new ideas, things for your store, learning through the conference. What responsibility do you feel like you have for the future customer? So again, reinforcing the point, for every 5 boomers who retire, only 1 enters our industry. It's pretty significant, or low, right? There really is not going to be enough skilled workers to go around, and we think about what's happening now with the pressures of this high demand, continuing going forward. this is not a good situation. Less pros means less customers in your stores. And a lot has to do with this perception that young people have, of the trades. Trade school, well, I'm not going to make as much money as if I went to college. 11% think this path doesn't lead to a high-paying job, and also that the gap is much wider than it actually is. But there is some good news through COVID, and I think a lot of us reassessed our whole world in COVID, right? The importance of family, the importance of the home. 30% of 18 to 24-year-olds now think a trade school is a better option than college. I mean, this is significant momentum, but we're a long ways from done. But it is interesting now how young people look, who wants all this college debt? Where am I going to go? What am I going to do with my life? And what are the options? And maybe this is something I never looked at before. Parents are, supporting this as well because, again, the debt sometimes becomes their debt. So what a college career does not guarantee you a job, and with the inflating costs of college, it becomes a real issue for consideration. And part of the Bridge Year idea was that we really just want to be part of the conversation. This is not about talking people out of going to college, because frankly, I support getting a business degree, whatever kind of job you're going to do. So I think there's some fundamentals, and listen, Kohler needs engineers as much as we need electricians. But there is this stigma around the trades that's really, for many years, has impacted what we see. So Gen Z, we're hopeful for Gen Z. There is some momentum. But I think what I really know is that we have to work together. Working together, we can impact this, but what it takes more than an effort from one or two or three organizations or companies to do it. So earlier today, we were talking about the changing face of the consumer. So let's shift a little bit to the consumer and how this changing consumer is impacting your business. Again, we talked about home, work, life. What do people feel like it's important? The home's the center of the universe, even more than it was before. And all signs point to this boom continuing. We do a lot of research at NKBA. And all of what we see is the boom will continue. Repair and replacement is a fundamental start of sometimes a project. The average age of the home in the US, 40 years old. I mean, things, they break, they need to be fixed, they need to be replaced. Sometimes it starts with the faucet and then, I need a sink, and well, that means I need to take the countertop out. Next thing you know, I'm doing a big project. This is to support some of the other data you saw earlier. Some of this spend growth that we're seeing is just unbelievable. In K&B, this is 20 versus 2021, nearly 20% in spending in K&B growth, 26% in new construction, and nearly 10% in remodeling. I mean, this is just unheard of in kind of the history of our industry. And we see this speeding up even more. Our kitchen and bath designers have so much pent up and backlog projects. It's truly unbelievable. The average designer tells us the average project is a 3-month backlog, and it's actually 6 or 8 months for many. I talked to one of our designers before I came out, who's in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and he said, Bill, when I have customers coming to me wanting to do a kitchen remodel right now, he said, okay, we'll schedule the appointment for April of 2022. That's to start the conversation, not that the kitchen's gonna be done. We will start meeting with you and talking about playing this project out in April of next year. So this project backlog and all these consumers that have this pent-up demand, I mean, a lot of them started in COVID where they weren't sure they wanted the contractor in the home, so they might have pushed the job off, but they still had the funds to do it. It's a matter of when. Well, then the wave came, and now we just can't do the projects fast enough for the demand. So this flow, we see this fully through 22, where it's great news for you all in your stores to sell products to these customers, because the boom is going to continue. The housing shortage also helped this for remodeling, in that what happens when you can't move? You invest where you are. Make your home better, make your spaces better. I think that the future of what you see as your customer for the hardware store is just, it's phenomenal for a long runway. Strong economy, strong remodeling, strong demand. And that, as again, continues. And I think also what's interesting is you might see this new customer because of this work from home dynamic. So wherever you are in your market, somebody might move into your market, but not really work in your market. You know, they might be working across the country, but at home. So this customer that you are used to seeing might vary some. What they're interested in, what trends they're interested in. So this is another, I think, powerful data point. 23% rise in relocations to mid-size from the cities. So we've heard about this, right? That people are migrating from the cities. Certainly that was peaked on COVID. People wanted to get out of those dense environments. But now, when they moved out and then they have this work from home environment, where are people going to work where they live? I mean, it's going to be an interesting trend to watch. But the point here is to be prepared for potentially a different or changing customer from what you're used to seeing. We also know that customers' expectations are high. It was talked about earlier that, you know, the advent of Amazon on our phone, and we buy something and it's there tomorrow and it's just like magic. You know, we're like, and it takes 3 days. Like, I can't wait for that. I want it tomorrow on the door, and because most of the time that's what happens. Well, we know supply chain has impacted that some, but we also know this is a very challenging customer to deal with the expectations that they have and everything else that they do. Returning things, you know, availability, instantaneous, 24 hours a day. They just want to do it and get done and move on with their life. So another poll for you guys. Show of hands here. How many feel, you know, as far as online business goes, 10% of your business, more than 20% of your business, 50% of your business, 50%, 75% of your business? Okay. So all what you heard about earlier today was this online customer and how you balance what is the tried and true way of seeing the customer come into the store versus what you're seeing online. Let's look at retail sales last year. $1 out of every $5 spent from digital orders. It's a big number. We're all tech executives. You might not think about yourself that way, but we are all tech executives. We're working in a fast-paced, technically driven society, and if we look at ourselves as consumers, we recognize that to an extent, what our expectations are. But you have to think about that from your perspective of your customer. What behaviors, what expectations do they have, and how do you adapt? So one more poll, bit rhetorical here. How many of you think your current business, the way the model is today, is set up for future success? Now, you have to think about, like, this, the Salesforce CEO, I think, said it best, and I'll show his quote here. You need to get to the future ahead of your customers and be ready to greet them when they get there. Right? Your customer is working really fast forward. How can you best prepare for what this evolution is that we're seeing? How can you prepare for the future? The first thing is these marketing dollars that you would maybe traditionally define as advertising. Consider leadership in your community and, you know, getting back to the skilled trades. What can you do in your market to present that leadership position that is a marketing vehicle for your business? Not just like I said, ads in flyers and online even. Have you considered talking to your competitors? What can we do in our community? What's happening in our market? Maybe this is an angle in to the trade schools or the high schools, because all of you are dealing with the same problem, right, in your market. And you know, we as a trade association don't really have competitors per se, but I'm one of these people that I embrace the opportunity, the challenge, even with our most desired, our biggest competitor. Or maybe, it's even look at our trade show, KBIS, and Design and Construction Week, and the Home Builder Show. I mean, we're competing somewhat for the similar audience, but why not work with them to make it bigger and better? Right, so look at it from the glass half full opportunity with your competitors is what could you learn from each other and what can you do to help, what do they say, tides rise all boats, or, I'm probably not saying it right, but you know what I'm saying, like rising tide lifts all boats. This is what was said earlier. The new normal is just accelerate. Everything's just going to keep happening faster, faster and faster. And you might have heard the news these last couple of days that Facebook is changing its name. It's like, Facebook is changing its name. I mean, isn't this one of the most successful businesses of today's time? But they recognize that their customer is changing, their business model is changing. I mean, a massive global entity with one of the most recognizable names of today by humanity, this is going to change their name. So to me, it's very relative if you look at your own perspective and your own business to say what most resonates with the future customer, how do you build your business, and it's, again, not thinking like the tried and true. It's like, what can I do? What can I change? How can I adapt? So ask yourself, where will your business be in 10 years? Where do you want to be in 10 years from today? And what do you have to do to impact that? We have a great economy right now for our industry, a lot of buyers. We don't have a lot of customers coming with this work, this skilled labor challenge, right? So we don't want to get caught up in the boom in the fact that everything we're doing is just great and it's just going to be forever. What do we have to do to adapt, and what impact do you all have on the workforce development in your market? Because I do believe, as I said, if we work together, we can have an impact, but we have to work together and all take some accountability and ownership in how do we, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, or your core business trade professional, how do we get more of them? And I think part of my thing here is the young people, because there's so much opportunity for them in this business, but they really, we talk to guidance counselors, we talk to schools. We had a colleague whose husband was a guidance counselor, and he said, listen, I'm way too busy with bullying and COVID to deal with that. It's like, you got to go to college. That's all I can tell you. And that's unfortunate, because that has a massive impact. But we can't just rely on too bad the guidance counselor is busy. We're not going to have a business in 10 years. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope there was good information for you all. It's great to be at a live event. So thankful for the Hardware Show to invite me here to speak to all of you today. And thanks again. Have a great rest of the show. It was wonderful to meet you all.